Hi team, welcome back. So your next flex assignment here. We're going to be working with the data that you worked with last week. We are going to make some updates and we're going to change what we focus on. So a lot of times you can spend time uh, looking at profit, but another part of that and a huge part of business is, hey, let's focus on the cost of things. So see what we can kind of find there. In terms of learning objectives, so we're gonna play around and leverage dates a little bit more. We didn't spend a whole lot of time on that last time, so we're gonna use them in both Excel and Tableau. You'll again get experience with both, kind of moving around, navigating within them. We're going to create and utilize some sets in Tableau. We're also going to leverage the tooltip to display some relevant information, just to make the user experience a little bit easier. Then we'll utilize the highlight and filter actions to make our dashboards dynamic when needed. And then ultimately you're going to build an exploratory dashboard and then link it to explanatory dashboard. But this time, instead of using the story feature, we're going to use buttons. All right, due date, again, check our learning management system for this. I'll talk about it in class and the weekly announcement and things of that nature. So, as I kind of mentioned, we're going to build on that initial profitability work for Southwest Office Solutions, really just to hopefully build your skills. And I'm going to start again letting you have a little bit more freedom. So, for this one, we're going to again modify some stuff in Excel, and then you're going to build some things in Tableau with me. But then the final product is all going to be up to you. And so you've kind of built those foundational skills. And so we're going to start again, letting it be less, hey, you follow and do exactly like me, and give you all sort of some creative freedom. So we're going to move through that kind of piece through the follow-up analysis. We're going to review some things because we want to see it, do it, see it, do it, see it, do it, see it, do it. And then the more we're doing it, the more natural and intuitive it becomes. And so you're going to follow this guided tutorial. It'll be a little bit less structured. It will also be shorter because you'll do more time on your own. But then you're independently going to create your own advanced visualizations for the company without any guidance. And this is that first opportunity to really demonstrate your growth as a data analyst. As with anything, it does take practice, attention to detail. So this may be one where you want to work ahead and come to office hours, ask for me to review it, things of that nature. Just because, again, it won't be just, hey, follow and do exactly as I do. And I'm happy to do that, so please reach out. Definitely make sure you are still following because I'm going to set you up for success, and you don't want to miss anything because it'll limit what you're able to do. Required material, so all the technology, and then there's a new, quote unquote, new data set right underneath this. It's the same data right where we ended last time, but we're again going to play around a little bit more with it. So don't use the one from the week before, use this updated one because we're not going to redo work that we've already done. In terms of evaluation, so I do need you to complete the steps that we've done. You're going to submit this the same way as you've done in the past with an Excel file with the link in it. I'm really just going to look for the Excel work that you've done, and then ultimately your exploratory and explanatory dashboards. If you choose to use things that I show, that's fine, but you don't have to. And I'm not going to be looking for proof on the Tableau side that you did, but I expect some of you all will leverage some of the stuff that we do. So for the independent analysis, what you're going to do, demonstrate your analytical skills by creating an exploratory dashboard. So this is interactive, filters, things like that. And I want you to focus on the cost side. So you can either look at an order level or you can do an item level. It's up to you. Doesn't matter to me. I'm not going to grade them any differently or anything like that. At a minimum, this should include 3 different visuals. You can have 4, you can have 5. That's kind of pushing it. Sounds like a lot. It should contain at least, I'll put at least 2 filters that work on all the visuals. And then it should adhere to the quality standards, so professional formatting, error-free presentations, i.e. avoid those typos. A consistent color scheme and visual hierarchy, which we haven't talked a lot about, but I'll talk about it as we move into there. And then clear descriptive titles and labels as you go through. Second, you're then going to create an explanatory dashboard that highlights one key insight, right? A key insight, maybe two, but don't go beyond that you found from this explanatory dashboard. And so this should be, right, one of the visuals that are actually on your exploratory dashboard. And technically, it doesn't have to be, but it makes it a little bit easier for the viewer there. In terms of the technical requirements, so you're going to combine your two dashboards using navigation buttons, so you can go back and forth between the two. So don't use a story. You do not want to use a story with navigation buttons because it takes you out of the actual dashboard. I'll talk about that a little bit later. When you're saving, make sure that exploratory, that kind of play around dashboard is the first one you see, and then I go to the explanatory one after that. Each dashboard should include the company's logo of your choice, right? You get to pick which one. I would be consistent with whatever we used last week, but if you had a change of heart, feel free to use a different one. Please put that in the bottom right corner, and then an information button with relevant information in the top right. Yeah, I'll say top right corner. All right. Quality standards, all of them should adhere to these kind of things. Again, your cost analysis is going to help the management team really think about efficiency and opportunities, maybe possible cost savings initiatives. Again, we don't have the time to go super deep into this, but we're at least starting that kind of piece, and we're thinking about it that way. I'll talk a lot about this. So. In terms of deliverables, so you're going to follow along with the tutorial, complete the required steps shown / outlined in the video, and submit only the completed Excel file with the link to your visual and your Tableau profile. You've done that in the box and then in the folder on this piece. So again, you make sure you're kind of checking all the boxes off here. That's kind of the big thing. And then, yeah, reach out with questions, email, things of that nature. But for now, let's go ahead and open the data and start just cleaning just a little bit before we hop into Tableau. All right, so you have your Excel file. It should look similar to where you kind of finished last time. The first thing I'm going to do is, and thanks to the student that kind of pointed this out, is my formula here for order discount is it's underestimating it, because what I'm doing here, right, and a great reason to have extra eyes on this and to think critically about it, is I'm really adjusting it by too small an amount, right? And so maybe I don't want to use this example, but I want to use this example, where I'm actually adjusting this up 20%, but because the base is smaller than what it was from, it's actually an underestimate. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy, I'm going to paste, and I'm going to write a different formula to kind of show you. And the way that I got this was I went through and just checked the price. Make sure I have this right. Yeah. The price minus the cost and that kind of piece. So as we go through here, what I want to kind of think through is I need to adjust this revenue by the discount, which makes it just a little bit harder with this zero discount. So I'm going to write and use this as kind of like an if command. So I'm going to do equals if, open parenthesis, and if this equals 0, what I want back, so comma, I just want back 0. Comma, if that's not the case, i.e. in this case, if it's anything bigger than that, what I'm going to do is I need a formula to go through it and effectively get that discount. All right, and so to get that, again, I'm going to have to be a little bit careful here. So I'm going to use an extra set of parentheses just to be careful. And so what I need is technically, I need my revenue times my discount, which I probably shouldn't need the if command there, I guess. All right. And then that, and then divided by, and then open parentheses, 1 minus this discount. All right, so if I close the parenthesis, I close it here, hit enter. I'm just going to go through, double click this down. So you'll notice this discount is a little bit bigger. And so to check this, what I did was, and so it should have been, we'll do like revenue plus discount, which just equals, right, the revenue plus the order discount, which is here. And so I go through and I double click that down. And the way that I kind of check would just be, then I want to make sure to have that formatted. I have revenue. If I'm checking it, it would just be check revenue. So this would just be equals that revenue plus discount times the full discount. I'll hit enter. I'll go through. I'll double click it down. Come on now. Sorry, it should be times 1 minus that. So it's taking 30% off. So like if I do this here, it's going through. So, and this should now match all of these, right? And so it's taking this. And so like if I have a 20% discount here, it's taking this and multiplying this number by 80%, i.e. I'm taking 20% off of there. And so that's how I kind of go through where I'm actually getting an order discount on that piece. So now my order discount would be, and I'll show it, right here. So rather than my old formula here, I have that kind of formula piece here. Let me see if this, I have that kind of piece up. Yeah, and so it makes sense, right? It's $40 off. And you can kind of see if I did the basic math, it would just be equals revenue plus discount minus that, where is it? The correct order discount, and it should add back up. I referenced the wrong one. Come on, Gray. The correct one here. I'm going through, double click it down, and now these match up, right? So it's basically I'm checking my revenue and what it would have been before. And so just making sure my kind of command works. So I don't really need this anymore. So I would delete this. I would delete this. I don't need my check revenue anymore. And then I have my updated, and again, I actually wouldn't need this if command now that I sit here and think about it because it would multiply that by 0, but I can leave it. But then this is the incorrect one, so I'm going to go through and delete. All right, so I want to update that piece. All right, now I've got to be careful. So my item discount is just, I'll have to update this so that it's not using the wrong one anymore. All right, so that's good to know. So I'm going to use, instead of I2, I'm going to delete this and have H2. This, double click down, right, and that should adjust because it's adjusting up as well. So now I'm going to delete this, make sure these formulas haven't changed or anything of this nature. Should be profit over revenue because it's profit margin, item margin, price, cost, all of that kind of piece. So, and this is without the discount on it, I guess, without the discount applied. You could argue you'd want to go in there. It could be like pre-sale item price. If you really wanted, then I would need my revenue plus discount back. But for now, we're not going to go that deep into it. So I'm going to go ahead and save. Then I'm going to play around just a little bit with dates. You could go nuts on dates here. I'm just going to talk about some basic things. We're going to use a little bit of AI to help us if we need it. So I'm just going to zoom out, make sure this fits. One, if I insert a column here, I'll put like days, I'll say days from order to ship. And so this is if I wanted to look at maybe, hey, I know they ordered it on the 8th, but it didn't ship to the 11th. So I'm trying to figure out those. And you can do simple math with these. And so you can see if I click on here, it's already cleaning these as dates. Note that I did enter a column next to this. So anything that I try and do, it's going to think it's a date. So we'll have to be kind of careful with it. But you can do equals, and you could do ship date minus order date. And it looks like this. So it looks like 3. And you got to think the way that Excel is set up to do, 0 is January 1st, 1900, which makes no sense whatsoever, right? And so that's how it would display the number 2 as a date or the number 3 as a date. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go in, I'm just going to change this to a number instead. And then it does that piece. So now I can actually look, okay, it took 7 days between when the person ordered it and when it shipped. That's crazy, right? That seems like a long time. I wonder what was going on. So we could look into things like that. You can also, so dates are really fun and easy to work with in Tableau. It's not as nice in Excel, but a lot of times maybe you don't have Tableau or Power BI. So sometimes you got to do what you got to do and look at things in Excel. Well, one way to do that is, what if you wanted to look at something cyclical by year, by month, even by quarter, something of that kind of nature? Well, you'd have to kind of get creative. In the past, you've had to write out a bunch of manual commands. With I have figured out that with some AI help and effective prompting, we can actually make our life a little bit easier. So the first thing I really want to do is, sometimes I will get it so that I can look at this by month, day, year, right? And so, or date, so it looks like this is month, day, year. So I'm actually going to go into data, and then I'm going to do text to columns. I'm going to do order date. I'm going to do next, and then instead of the tab, I'm going to go in, I'm going to do my space here. I'm then going to do next, and then I'm going to actually tell it, hey, this is a month, day, year. And then I don't want to do automatic because it will write over this other data. So I'm going to put it actually over here in O, and I'll hit enter and I'll do OK. And by doing that, it actually keeps the original, which is fantastic. But then it gives me, so here, this would be my order month. All right, this would be order day, and this would be order year. And I don't know why it's going through here. So I could then kind of manually work through this if I wanted to. Now, I don't think the numbers are visually super appealing. And so I may do something where I actually get the name of it. So here I may do like just a reminder, the number, and then I'm going to copy paste and then get rid of the number. So it's like, it's what most people think of as month: January, February, March, April, May. And usually I would have to code, right? So equals if this cell equals 1, return January, comma, if false, another command. Or I could do ifs command, which for 12, that's kind of long. I don't really want to do that. And so now the nice thing about most of the AI tools that we work with is they're really good at coding if you can prompt it effectively. And so, there's other ways to work with dates before you yell at me here, because I'll show you both. Hopefully Claude's going to spit this out for me. But I would say something like, I need help writing a command in Excel to turn numeric months into their, let's see, their proper names. And I'm trying to give it as much information as possible. So I would do like 1, 2, 3, ... And then proper names, something like January, February, ... here. And I'm going to hit enter. Let's see what it's going to kind of spit out. All right, you can use the text. So if I have it as a date, do something like this. You do have to kind of think about how this is going to work. You can use choose A1, January, February, March. I've never seen the choose command, so let's try this one. All right, I'm going to copy it. Now, you have to know how Excel works. If I just do this as A1, right, it's going to take whatever's in cell 1 and look for that and go through. So if I were to go into here, right, and just paste that command, notice the color coding, it's actually looking in that first cell. So you have to know this thing works, right? So I'm going to delete this back, and then I'm going to choose this, right? And hopefully this makes sense. So it's in O2, I hit enter, right? November, double click it down, and I can do that, which I make sure it works. So that's pretty cool. In the past, I've actually used an if or ifs command. So I'm even learning something of this nature. You can also use dates. The text date is an interesting one. Honestly, I have to Google how it works sometime. And again, it does say it's assuming and so on, but let's see if this works. I'm going to copy this one. I'm going to go in here. I'm actually going to go over here and paste this in. And again, I need to change a 1. All right. And then it's setting the year as, so now that I'm looking at this command, and so it's saying the year 2024, it doesn't matter, right? Because all that matters is the month here. So it's using arbitrary values. And this date, I'm going to look over here, comma, okay, what format do you want it? And I think there's shorthand. Let's see if I hit enter, it'll do the full month. Wonder if I just do, so if I do 3 of them, hit enter. Yeah, it does the shorthand of it. So I could do that down, and then I'll do order month. I'll do this here. I'll do short, something in that piece. You also can use that text date over here. A really interesting one is there a command to get day of the week if I have day or month, day, year data? It's going to think, yes, you can use the text function. Use the full name if you want abbreviation. I think I have to add the year. I thought it's maybe if it's with that date. Okay, let's try full day. This one does. If it's separate cells, so I could do it that way. Fantastic. Now mine's all together, so I don't know why I would want weekday. There's also weekday if you just need. Oh, if we wanted numbers, we already have the. Want that. So I'm going to do the text. So I'm going to copy that one. I'm going to go into cell here, and I'm going to do day of the week. Right, and so then I'll do in my command paste, and then now the date that I actually need, I think, is going to be, let's do order date because that makes the most sense. Let's hit enter. All right, Thursday. Wow, right? So we can go kind of crazy and we get those kind of pieces. So I like kind of showing those features because then you can go super deep. I'm honestly not sure in Tableau if you can use actually day of the week. I haven't seen that feature. It may drill down that, but it knows, and you do have to have the month, day, year for that, because if not, obviously the 1st of January on this year versus last year versus year or something like that would cause problems. Some people like quarterly data. So the last thing I'll do is, okay, I have year data. Let's see, is there a command to return what quarter it is in? Now I may be confused because it now knows I have that one. All right, so you can use the ceiling function. This divides the month number by 3 and rounds up, giving you 1, 2, 3, 4. That doesn't make any sense because I don't want that back. Select your month, day, and year in separate cell. Replace this with your month. It's on this piece. If you want it formatted as Q1, Q2, etc., just concatenate. So it's trying to do them both together. Is there an easier one if I have the months as numeric, like an ifs command? All right, as I go through, yes. And so this is, if it's less than 3, less than 6, so it's functioning in that piece. And then here's like the Q1. So I like this one. I haven't ever used ceiling. 3, you could also choose with ceiling for a clean approach. Readable, and this is honestly the one that most people use, so I'll do copy. I'll go back into here. I'll go paste, and then again, I can't use A1 here because I need to do whatever is in the 02, right? So it's that one. And then I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to copy that, paste, and this is probably why I wanted to use choose, so I didn't have to do those 4 times across there and do something like that. And so then you have that data. All right, so that's the end of the kind of the cleaning that I'll do. Just you can do so many things with dates. So I'm going to go ahead and save this, and then let's jump into Tableau. All right, so make sure you've saved your Excel file, and we'll pivot to Tableau here. So again, we'll go to Microsoft Excel. You're going to find where your file's at. Once you find it, it's going to take a little bit of time. We do want to make sure we select Use Data Interpreter, let it think for a little while. Sometimes it goes through, especially if you have a lot of data. Then we'll take our 3 sheets, so categorical. All right, so it has kind of this basic information. You can wait for it to load if you want, but then we'll take general info. We'll hope that it links. It did. If not, find unique order ID in both of these. Then we'll do numeric order information. We don't need the Tableau one because, well, we don't need a blank Tableau box in our data. You can already go ahead and kind of see each of these pieces. I think if you wanted, you could, if we go here, I don't think we could do, it used to be in the past you could, so you can like create variables, so calculated fields, groups, bins off of this. It used to be you could change the format of the variable. Like we could change it as the default there, but it doesn't look like that's going to be the option. But we should have everything, so I'm going to go ahead and click Sheet 1. I'm going to go ahead and just build my roadmap, and then I can start kind of linking things here. So I'm going to build a dashboard, and I'm going to right-click, rename it, which I hope. To rename, and then this is going to be Explore dash, and then up here, right-click, rename, explain, explain dash. Then, so the nice thing about dashboards versus stories, we saw this last week where you're kind of stuck using the same size. You don't have to do that with dashboards. So I'm going to do a fixed size. You can make it custom. I'm going to start with, let's do desktop browser. And if we need to pivot and modify, we can. And then I'll probably do the same thing for this one. Let's see. Range, fixed size, custom. My Tableau is going a little slow, so I'm going to do a quick reset here. So then I'm just going to automatically go ahead and save as. This one you may well again want to use the case. All right, so I'm going to do something like follow-up e-commerce analysis, something like that, just so it's a little bit easier. I've put it in the folder that I want. So I'm going to save. That makes it later easier, so we just press the save button later. All right, and I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time kind of talking through this piece, but remember that for both dashboards, I want the logo and information button. I'm going to go to floating here, and I'm just going to go ahead and bring an image here, and then insert image. I'm going to choose, and again, it's up to you, whichever one you want. I have 4 different ones on there. I'm going to do apply just to kind of see what this looks like. Let's center the image, apply. Then I'm just going to size it down. All right, and I'm just sizing the box, right? So I'm not squishing it yet. I am going to make sure nothing kind of causes any issues. I'm going to uncheck. Okay, I still need fit image. Let's uncheck center image. So we may have to be kind of careful. this. It's really just kind of clunky here. Come on. I don't know. Yeah, I can move it out of that because you won't see it in presentation mode. Come on now. It's moving so slow. All right, so you want that. Again, you may have to kind of play around. You do want to keep the location consistent. So the nice thing is, like, when you click on this, it's going to give you this XY coordinate. So 840, 712, and then 208, 87. So if that's the one you like, if you keep the consistent size, I don't think you can copy paste. I do wish. Actually, what we can do is let's right click. Actually, let's go and get our information button. So again, I'm going to bring over, how do I want to do this? I want to bring over, let's do text. And I'll do information about the data for company / objective. You can do lots of stuff with this, right? So if I do OK, then I can right click. I may do, actually I'll do layout here, and then I'll do background. I'll do something like this, just because then if it goes over text, it's a little bit easier. Then I'll do the drop down, and we'll do add show hide button. All right, and so the X again is, it should be when it's hidden, but we're going to modify this really quick. Actually, I want this to be show hide, so I don't know why. Let's go ahead and click the drop down, and we'll do edit button. Yeah, edit button. So I think actually this is fine. When the item is hidden, this is where we want to choose an image. You'll have to find this from wherever your downloads are. Okay, so I just went and found it. And I'll do something like click to learn more. I'll do apply. And nothing's going to happen just because it's when it's hidden. But if I do, I think it's alt click. If I hide it, which my alt click's not working, it looks like that. I actually like that location. And so instead of reworking this, what we can do is let's right click and duplicate. Now this becomes our exploratory dash. And that way we know it's in a consistent location across the two different places, which is really, really nice. So let's just play around in the tool a little bit. Remember that you're going to focus on either cost per item or cost per order. So you'll want to go into these and go ahead and do the default properties, number format. You want to go ahead and make it I would do currency custom, 2 decimals I think is fine. And then you would also do this default properties, aggregation, and make it average. So if you also wanted to do it order, you could do the same thing. I would do one or the other. You could technically have them together. Again, there's so much you could do with this data that you could really go nuts on it. So I'm going to do default properties, number format, just so if I'm kind of playing around with it. Currency custom, make sure it's the $sign. Then I'm just going to show you some very basic tips and tricks. So something we may want to look at is like our actual product, right? And so we actually have in our data like the item, right? If I go in, I actually have the product name, so I could bring that out. There are a lot, so I'm going to start by adding all the members, and then I'll bring in, let's just do, I don't know, we'll do order cost, something like that. Again, it does like to default to this bar graph. Looks like we have a couple products here. You could already go ahead and think like, well, I want to organize this biggest to small, or smallest to biggest, or biggest to smallest, something like that. All right. right? I would probably still, just because like this is like impossible to read, I would honestly just turn this into a table, right? And then you will have to be careful because our names are cut off and it doesn't have like Excel where you can like double click. So you kind of have to go through, right, and be a little bit creative with these. It's really hard because you've got some right, like this that are relatively big. So maybe it makes sense to like bring it down, make this a little bit bigger, and then it will wrap text a little for you. Right, something like that. So it may just be kind of a fit thing where you got to be kind of careful there. And I would go ahead and title this like um, average cost by product. And while this is great, and again, I think you'll do this to do largest to smallest. Um, it's just a lot in here. So maybe we want to focus on what we call like the top 10 or bottom 10. Well, that's where we can actually create what we call a set. And so you may have seen these a little bit in the past, but they are very, very useful. And so for a set, you're generally going to come from the left. Sometimes you can do it from the analysis tab. You can do, or like you create a calculated field, stuff of that nature. Um, but if you know what you want to do, it's easier just to go from the left-hand side, or at least I have found it that way. And then, so I know that I want the top 10 by, it's got to be a categorical piece, I believe. All right, so on the product name, because I want the top 10 product names, I'm going to do create a set. All right, and then there's nothing here initially because it's like, well, you could do a condition. Like, what if we wanted a set of everything that's greater than $1,000? So we could do that. Just do by field, average, greater than 1,000. You could look at a range if you really wanted to. I like the top. So highest average cost, something like this, and I would do top 10. It's up to you. You don't have to do top 10. You can do top field. But then you got to do, okay, by field. You could actually do a formula and type it in if you go super deep into this. Then you'll go into, and since I think it's already on here, it's setting it up by order cost. But sometimes you have to go ahead and look at that. So top 10 by this average cost. And this makes sense because it'll be the highest. Right? Then what you can do is you can bring that set into a filter, right? And then it will show it this way here. Right, and so then I may go into the title and just do top 10. All right, and I'll do apply, do okay. Right, and then I would probably honestly rename this, right, top 10 costing. And then I would honestly go ahead, I would right click, I would duplicate to make our life a little bit easier. I rename bottom 10 cost, and then I just drag this set out. So you'll notice if you go over to the left, I should have talked about this. You'll start to see, where are you? Right, this new set, it's rings, right? And so this highest average cost, you can always use that back and forth. But now I want a bottom 10 set. So I could do this, and I could do here, create, and we will do a set, right? And then this will be lowest average cost, and then I'll do top by field, bottom 10 by average, do okay, and then I'll do this here. And then I'll do the drop down, and I will do, you could do it here where you then show the filter over. We're not going to use it as a filter, right, to show the top and bottom. I have seen that in the past, but or inside and outside of that. But yeah, like I don't think it's that useful. You could do something. I'm trying to think of how much time I want to spend showing you this kind of piece. But ways that you can use this. So I may create let's do a new worksheet. Let's just do something you're comfortable with. Let's do city, state, and then we'll do that average cost. My brain's not working. I did order cost here. I'm going to bring this over. I will do then order cost here. And then you could do something where I think let's do a filled map. Let's just look by state. It doesn't like that. Must be because it doesn't like my city, state in there. Let's go ahead and let's do map, edit locations. Sometimes you have to do something like this. Yeah, United States. So it wants them basically it doesn't like city, state together. So that's fine. Let's do undo, Control Z or Command Z. All right, so I'm going to drag city, state off. I don't know why it wouldn't want that. So I'm going to do state, and then I'll do city. You want to keep it kind of like that, because sometimes it won't recognize the kind of pieces. And again, you could do a dot map if you want. I don't care. So I'm going to do a filled map just because when you have city on there, it's actually defaulting to a dot map, even though I'm telling it I want a filled map. So let's drag city off. All right, and so there's ways that you can actually like leverage. So for a map, before I forget, I go map options. Let's turn off pan and zoom. That's the most one that kind of bugs me the most as we go through. I'll right click. I will do rename, cost map. Here's one where we may actually want to start. Okay, generally people think cost is as bad, right? And so you may change the color scale here to be red. That way it's a little bit easier to see. I would probably label it on here. So I would hold Control or Command, click on the pill here and drag it up to label, right? That's just easier than if I keep having to find it over on the left. So kind of work smarter, not harder. And then I may honestly want to think like number of orders and stuff like that, but I don't, it can get ugly kind of on here. And so I could do something where I may want to bring, right, that product name, so something categorical onto the tooltip. All right, and then it's going to make no sense. If it's only sold one product, you'll only see one name. So that's what's going on in Wyoming. But instead of just telling me, hey, I want the text for this, I actually want to go through, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do a measure and just count distinct. Yeah, because it'll be distinct products sold within that state. So I only have 1, 53, 54, 56, that kind of piece. And so I don't like how that looks, so I may go into the tooltip. This sometimes causes problems. And I'll put something like number of products sold, right? And I'm trying to be consistent. I'll do okay. I hover over and it changes it. So it's just a little bit kind of cleaner. The last thing is you can put these inside of that visual, right? So if I wanted to look at Wyoming and then see the products in there and their average cost, I could do that, right? So to do that, you would do the tooltip, all right? And then I'm going to go in, I'm going to hit enter a couple times. Then I'm going to do insert, and I'm going to do, let's see, I want the sheets, and then I want the, let's just do the top, something like that. And then we'll do okay. Let's see if it fits. Right now, notice that it says view too large. And it doesn't have, the reason it's not showing me anything is like it doesn't have any of the top 10 in there because it doesn't know to modify. So I'm going to go back into here and I'm going to change, let's go width of, let's do 600 and height of 600. Do okay. All right, check the view, or do we have one here? All right, so now I can see everything, which is what I want. But I want the top 10 within that state, right? It's only showing me if I'm in over one that has a top 10. So to do that, and it doesn't tell you this, but if you go back to top 10, you should now see this like filter. It's like, hey, like what's going on here, right? We know that this is in the tooltip where you want, but what we can do is if we do this drop down and we do add to context, what that does is it then first will filter on the state, and then it will show you the top 10 in that state, right? And now Wyoming will not because it only sold one product, but everywhere else that has 10, it shows it to you. And luckily, since we had it ordered the other way, it shows us that kind of piece. I would do, if you ever want to and you throw this in somewhere else, you kind of do a bottom 10 set as well. Last thing kind of about consistency stuff. So I'm going to create another sheet here, and you can use these visuals. You don't have to have them in the map. You could do a map that then links to the top 10, bottom 10. You will have to do add to context if you're going to throw that on a dashboard. But again, if I were doing something like average order cost here, and I wanted to look, I'm going to do two. So I'll do one where it's maybe by category, because we did that one kind of last time. So let me see if I can find it. Yeah, maybe category, subcategory. All right, and then I generally want to, again, show things similarly, or keep the color scheme consistent. And so what I may do is I'm going to bring color or average cost down to color, right? But then I'm going to go to the drop down. I'm going to do edit colors, and I'm going to pick a consistent. So now I used red before. I also want to use red here. And now you could modify in here and all these kind of pieces. I will right click, format, go ahead, get rid of the grid lines. I know it says none, but you have to turn them off on all three. Something like that. If you don't want to put like your average lines in, but you don't want to have people kind of guessing on these, you still can do some sorting, right, within these. I would make sure all our names look correct. You could flip it if you really liked. I like to kind of change it and show you different ones. I may bring, again, hold control or command, bring average cost down to label, right, and then you kind of have that amount there. Then you don't need, right, this. So I'll do uncheck show header, and you have those kind of pieces. Now, again, notice subcategories cut off, right? So we want to be kind of careful here. So you sometimes just have to get kind of creative in that piece just so it kind of fits. And then I could do average cost by category and subcategory. All right, again, my Tableau's a little bit slow, so I'll do okay. And now we'll go ahead. Okay, it should update there. Yeah, average cost by cat underscore subcat, something like that. Then if you put these on a dashboard, right? So say you go ahead, you bring your cost. So you may want to go back to tiled, bring your cost map, something like this, right? If you want the legend, you can bring it, make it floating, do the drop down. Come on. I'm on Tableau. I'm going to go ahead and save just to be safe here. I should have been doing that throughout. File, go ahead and save. All right, so I'll do the drop down. I will make it floating. And again, early on, this thing's kind of chaotic, so you don't freak out when it doesn't look great initially. All right, if you're okay with where this map ultimately ends up, it may be fine, but I'm guessing you may be a little bit have to be a little bit creative with this. And what I would do, all right, so I like this, so I want to go ahead and do the drop down fit. I do not like scroll bars inside of visuals. I'm fine with one full scroll bar. I just do not, so I'm going to do entire view. I do not like them within visuals because it makes no sense. The reason that I did those top 10, bottom 10 was because of that kind of piece. But for your logos, what you may want to do is, depending on how much space you want to kind of eat up, I think for the dashboard title, when you check that, that should leave things okay here. So that your information button's not a problem. For your bottom button here, you may want to do something like these are always unintuitive to me, a vertical container. All right, and I'll bring it out. And this is just to go ahead and kind of make sure that maybe nothing is, like nothing ever gets down onto that kind of piece, right? And so I may again just keep modifying this down. So you kind of play around with kind of the spacing. And I may ultimately move this thing down if I wanted to. Things do get a little bit smaller, so don't be afraid to mess around with the sizing here and make it taller. That's perfectly fine if you want. Right, I'm fine again with a scroll just within the dashboard, just not within the visuals within the dashboard. That's what gets kind of frustrating. And so the last thing I want to show is, let's say you decide this, right, is the visual that you want on your explanatory dashboard. Well, if, right, you bring this over here, right, and modify it any sort of way, like let's say I just wanted to highlight machines, copiers, phones, accessories, something like that. If you go back and modify it on this visual, it will change on the dashboard, which is not really what you want. And so what I would do once you've determined, note that this number is cut off because it's kind of small, so you again may need to play around with sizing, is what you're gonna do is you're gonna do what we've already done. You're gonna duplicate this and then create a new one or modify it in a different way. So I may do here, I would right click and duplicate. And again, this would be the last thing that you do because you don't want to do this for all of them. And I would do a rename, right? So this would be explain visual average cost by cat subcat. Then I can be maybe a little bit more creative here, where maybe here is where I want a top 3 set. That would be kind of interesting. And so we can kind of leverage everything that we've done. But now we're working off of subcategory. So let's do drop down, create a set, right? And then this is going to be a top category cost. And again, I know you could be looking at profit margin, like cost doesn't relate to that, but all we're doing is we're helping with a cost analysis. So I would do top by field, top, let's do top 3, right? And I'll do okay. And then instead of order cost on color, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do top 3 cost category on the color. Then it only highlights those 3. I probably also, I don't really care about all of these numbers. I guess you could leave them, but I wonder if, I'm going to think of the best way to kind of show this. All right, so I'm going to try not to push too much here, but then what you'll see is, right, I won't want to bring this visual over. I'm going to close this one out. And if it's going to close, then I'll bring, right, explain. And then you have that visual that you can then highlight that does not go through and modify this. Now, I would probably keep it consistent, and at least on this one here, we're going to do, we can change the colors by clicking, go to red, apply. I'll be more careful with my colors later on. But then you kind of have that one, and you have, come on, want to respond, this one. So you're not messing up one to try and highlight the other. Still lets them kind of play around here. All right, and so the last thing I'll show is just how to navigate across the two. So it's actually already here, and maybe that'll actually help this box that we put in. And so it's in this, I would go to floating, and then we're going to bring navigation, and then depending on where we're at, it's going to be ugly initially. All right, and then it always starts like gray and as a box in navigation, which makes no sense. So we're going to help the viewer. So we're going to get drop down, we're going to hit edit button, and we're just going to tell it, well, where do you want to navigate to? And so hopefully I go to that explain dashboard. You can have it as text. What the text is would be something hopefully relevant. We won't spend a lot of time right now focusing on that just because I've shown you a lot of new things and you have some stuff to do on your own. But I would do something like click for action for next steps, something like that. Again, I don't care. It's up to you. You can do things. You can actually make an image later on. You can do like arrow buttons and stuff like that, but you'll do apply. And then you should see here, make sure it's not cut off. And if you want to try it here, you can again do alt click, and then it takes you to that dashboard as you go. Again, I would probably go ahead and get your horizontal. I don't know why. If you uncheck this, it's going to have this dashboard title pop up, which makes no sense. But I'm going to do not floating. Okay, I'm going to do tiled. I'm going to do kind of the same thing where I have that vertical container where I really want it on the bottom. Hopefully this thing's going to think. And then I kind of lock in where that is, so nothing gets in charge and blocks out my logo. You can actually mess with the layout, and then it shows you the width and height, the X, Y, so 0, 699. Same thing if I went back here and I clicked, I need to be clicked on the actual thing that I care about. So X, Y, yeah, so 1095. I would probably want to modify the height a little bit, but it doesn't seem like it's going to let me, so I've got to modify a little this way. And that piece, I do kind of wonder why it doesn't want to let me mess around with that, like manually go in. Maybe yours are working. So I'm just kind of going back and forth and looking. 1000, this, 101, 112. So it's close on that kind of piece. Really what I would care about is all as I can make sure that, so if you're in this layout, I said actually let me, if it wouldn't let you click on the logo, you could click here, just making sure this thing's in the same location. So 840 and 712. But now that I've made this taller, they're going to be in different places. So actually, it doesn't make sense to do that. And we already have the same size. So then we'll have to do, so we'll do alt click. I hope it'll take me to the next dashboard. Alt click. Come on, Tableau, what are you doing right now? Okay, I'm going to do, there we go, alt click. And go across. Then the last thing I'll do is I'll always have a return button. So I'll go back to dashboard, and then I will do navigation. Where are you? Right, I'll make it floating, so I don't have any issues. You could do tiled. I think it's going to try and fit in that horizontal container if you do that. Right, and that. So if you want to do that piece and make it consistent, you can. But I'm going to do this. Sizing just get a little bit wonky here. All right, and then I'll do this edit button, and I'll do navigate back to that exploratory dash. The title is just going to be, let's say, explore the cost data. We'll do apply. Do OK, and you'll notice it's kind of cut off. It's just kind of at the bottom. All right, so I'll try and probably line that up. Again, this isn't the final piece on that. And again, for your explanatory dashboard, there should be some action, right? Machines, copiers, and tables have the highest average cost. I don't love that this thing has like in it, so I'm gonna go ahead and just save. But I could go through and mess with this wherever it went. I would go into the tooltip. I don't really care about this in out, so I would do something like that. I may again also want something like, let's see if this did. So sometimes when you click on this, it causes problems. So I'm going to bring, I don't know, let's bring just product name into tooltip. I'm guessing, yeah, see, it doesn't work once you click on it that first time. And so another way to go around that is just to do, I'm going to do number of, let's see, products sold, and I'll do insert, and then I'll do product name attribute since we had it before. If you don't see it, you may have to do insert, and you could go look at all the fields. I'm hoping you already have it. I don't know why, like this is a different color now. That makes no sense. And then I'll do black, okay. And, because there's multiple, it has the star. Attributes what I want though. I want to do insert. Oh, I have it here. I'm going to undo because I'm causing problems. I'll do okay. It's over here that I caused the issues. So I need to change it to measure count. Then when I hover over, I'm hoping, yeah, then it has the number of products sold there. So you see just more information. All right, so I'm going to save. All right, so now it's up to you how you want to kind of, now again, you don't need this visual at all. You need 3 visuals, so go back to the assignment, see the various things that I asked for, right? You have a lot of the technical pieces. You've done the tutorial. You don't have to use any of these visuals if you don't want, but you can, just make them maybe look a little bit, obviously, nicer. You're gonna have to add at least one more. Another one, since we played around with dates, you could use the dates feature. I would either use, it's weird, it's reading, yeah, like your order date and then bring average cost, something like that, and bring that kind of visual over. That would be kind of an interesting one. If you did maybe order cost here and even something simple by region. I know I've done category quite a bit. You could use shipping mode, something like that. I don't know why I put that on filters, but I would want, where's order date? Order date up here. And then I think if you moved, I'm gonna move shipping mode off. All right, it starts this way. I don't know why. I'm gonna flip it. Generally, we want to see time vertically. Then you could have by region, by shipping mode, whatever you think is most interesting. I'm gonna do, where is that shipping mode? Shipping mode, I'll bring it to color because then you're gonna get a different line for the different ones that we have. For line graphs, you don't need this to start at 0, right? So you could right click, do edit access. You don't need to include 0. You do need to for a bar graph, but we're just looking for trends over time. And maybe you want to drill down instead by quarter instead of year. And you don't have to have the year even on there. You just look at fluctuations and quartered over time. I may have like year on the filter or something of that kind of nature. But you could have something like that. That would be a relatively easy one to kind of do and just put it together. Okay, when you save it, make sure you're on the exploratory dashboard as your final one. You're going to do save, and then you're going to do file, save to Tableau public as. You'll sign in and do all that kind of piece. I won't waste your time on that piece, but I hope this was useful. I know I'm throwing a lot at you with this one, but let me know if you have any questions.